Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. Today I'm excited to participate in a fun little mini hop from some of us from the Lawn Fawn fans video hop. We're doing a Hive 5 hop using the new kit from Lawn Fawn. So I've got all of my supplies. I also have my stencil and I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling in my video today. But for the most part, I have already stamped, colored, and die cut everything that I need for my card today because it is a hop and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I used my large and small stitched rectangles. I have my lift the flap tree background. I used puffy clouds to create my treetop, and I have these flowers from the set, and I also have my glitter that I'll be using when I'm all done putting my card together. So I'm going to start with stenciling. I'm using my new clear mat from scrapbook.com to keep my paper in place. I went ahead and left everything together using some mint tape just because I knew it would be easier to stencil an A2 size piece of paper than a small little frame. So I'm going to be stenciling on my little hexagon pattern here for the beehive look using some sunflower ink also from Lawn Fawn, and I'm just moving my stencil around because I'm going to be creating a frame. So this will frame my card when I'm putting it all together. So I just needed it to go around the rectangle part of the lift the flap tree background die. I'm going to grab some carrot ink and just kind of add a little bit extra around the corners and sides, just trying to deepen up the edges of this frame. Now, of course, we got to add some splatter. So I'm going to peel it off my mat and I'm going to clean my mat with a baby wipe before I forget. And then I'm going to grab my splatter box and place my paper inside. I'm using some metallic watercolor from Prima, and I'm using the yellow and orange kind of gold colors and really trying to get it on that border since that's the only thing I'm going to be using on my card. Now I wanted to add a little bit of color to my die cut, so I did die cut my trees out of some craft cardstock, and I'm going to grab my walnut ink and a little brush and add some color to my tree bases. So the frame is not going to show, the top of my trees are not going to show, but I wanted my edges of my trees just to have a little more texture and depth, make them look like they are round. And I'm going to repeat the same process using cilantro ink onto my treetops. So adding it along all four edges because all four edges of this treetop will show on my card. And again, just adding some depth by adding color, making it seem like it's a round treetop full of leaves. Now that those are done, I'm going to set them aside and I'm going to move on to the next part of my project, which will be to color in my flower die cuts. This is from that little hexagon tag die set in the kit. And I'm going to grab some pink markers. I'm using my PPs to color in 5 flowers. I'm going to be using a color scheme of green and pink on my card, plus my yellow border. So I'm going to color all of my flowers pink and all of the center of my flowers yellow. So I grabbed a yellow marker to fully color in each of those little inner circles. And then I'm going to grab kind of a golden yellow color that I use to color in my bees. And I'm going to add in some little spots onto my flower centers and then again blend it out with that yellow. So now that all of my flowers are done, I'm going to start putting my card together. So I have my card base. I'm going to be doing a landscape A2. I'm going to grab my tape runner and I'm going to glue on my A2 size of this beautiful polka dotted paper from the kit. I cut it out using my large stitched rectangle so it fit perfectly onto my A2 card, and then I'm going to glue my trees down with some wet glue. It's not going to be an interactive card, so I'm just going to add wet glue completely behind my die cut. Once that's done, I'm going to add my frame, but I'm going to have to trim out my trees. So while I'm cutting that out on camera, I wanted to talk to you about a previous video that I released earlier in the month. It's my color and chat video, and I did show how I colored my bees and the hive and the honey jar and lots of these images from this stamp set. So I will have that linked down below in my description, and I'll also add it right here to the top right hand corner so you can open that in a new tab and watch it after you finish the hop today. I also wanted to let you know that each of the hoppers are going to be giving away the cards that you see, or the projects I should say, you see today on all of our videos. So make sure you leave comments and we will randomly select a winner from each of our videos, and we will reach out, or we'll give you the information for you to reach out to us so we can mail you the card, which I think is so fun. Okay, so now that my frame is cut out, I'm going to grab some thin foam adhesive strips and I'm going to cover the four sides of my frame. Once those are all done, I'll peel off the release paper and I'm going to add this to my card. So it's going to add some dimension as well as some fun texture to my card because of those hexagons, as well as my kind of watercolor splatter. Since it's metallic, it's adding some shine to the card, and I do love shine on my cards. Now, Lawn Fawn does sell, I believe, a frames die set that I don't have, which probably would have been much easier than trimming out my trees, but that's okay. We're going to use what we have. Finally, I'm going to add some additional foam tape behind my treetop and glue that inside the frame. I die cut that using the largest of the small stitch rectangles, and it fits perfectly inside. So now I'm going to kind of arrange all of my images and my flowers how I think I'm going to put them onto my card, and now I'm going to start gluing them down. So my flowers, I'm going to use my fingers and just try to create some dimension by scoring those petals so they have they kind of stick up off the card, and I'm just gluing the center down to my tree. I'm adding some glue to the center of all of my flowers so I can use a jewel picker and drop all of those centers into the pink flowers. I'm going to grab some extra thin foam squares and I'm going to use that to glue or adhere down my beehive as well as all of my bees, so that way it doesn't add too much more bulk to my card. My beehive is going to slide under that treetop to cover most of the middle tree, and then I will glue down my bee trails. I have one on the left and one on the right, and those will just be glued down with regular wet glue. I didn't want to try to deal with popping those up, so just my bees are all adhered with those thin foam squares. So I'll show you a couple just so you can see my process, but I'm going to fast forward so you can not have to spend too much time watching me glue bees to my card, and you can continue on with the hop. So definitely using my tweezers and my wet adhesive with a fine point or a fine tip, so that way it can help me get some glue onto those really thin die cuts like my little bee trails. Okay, so adding all of my bees, I'm even adding my little happy bee day little speech bubble there on the right, and then I will also add my bee with the party hat on the bottom left. I realized I didn't have him glued down yet. And that will finish up all of the images on my card, but I did want to add an additional sentiment. So I'm going to grab some of my favorite black cardstock for embossing, and I'm going to emboss a white sentiment onto that black cardstock. And to save you some time, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of quickly go through this part, as you don't need to see me embossing. You've seen plenty of other videos of me embossing. So just showing that I'm going to use my black cardstock and I'm picking out my sentiment. I'm going to grab a clear block with a grid on it to help me make sure my sentiment is nice and straight, and of course making sure to use anti-static powder before I emboss my sentiment. Once that's done and cooled down, I'm just using a Swiffer cloth to pick up the excess anti-static powder, and I noticed that I didn't do the best job on my T there, so I just grabbed a white gel pen to kind of fix that sentiment. I trimmed my sentiment down, my black paper, so it fit perfectly around the stamped words. I added some thin foam squares behind that black cardstock, and I'm going to use my grid mat to help me center that to the bottom of my card. And finally, to add some more sparkle, I'm going to grab that really adorable sparkle glaze that comes in the kit, and I'm adding it to the center of all of my pink flowers, as well as all of the wings of my bees and the crown on my queen bee. Here is a final look at my card. I absolutely love the mix of the yellow with the green and pink. I think it's really sweet, and I'm so excited to send it to one of you. Make sure you click that next video in the hop down below in my description. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!